episode 51. Sounds weird to say. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How's it going, Dave? How's it going? It's been busy.
Yeah, I was on vacation last week, but still worked like 2.5 days of work, so stuff kept coming up.
Fucking retail life.
Yeah, it's all good, though. I mean, it's for the greater good eventually. Hopefully down the line it'll pay off for something in the long run. So.
I'm just happy. I don't know about you over in Detroit, but I'm assuming the weather's pretty similar. We're hitting at like 50 degrees. Maybe we go into like 40 overnight.
Yeah, I'm totally
we can still hit
with,
70.
Yeah, I'm totally content with like hoodie and jeans, or like quarter zip pullover and jeans and shoes. Like.
I was so happy to bust out the hoodie. And it's raining, so I'm busting out like the boots just to be on the safe side. I love this weather. I have so much more energy. I know it's the opposite of what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to get a little like sleepier, a little gloomier, but like fall weather, I fucking love it.
It's Christmas.
And no one's outside. It's great. Well, no one's supposed to be outside, but people are still outside. As my state decided, we're done with this pandemic, and cases have increased like crazy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we had a fascinating time with that, where like our legislation threw our governor over, and then the health department came out and said, "Hold my beer." So, it was pretty funny. Of like, well, we can do this, and the health department's like, "No, you can't." So.
Yeah.
All right, we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that releases on Thursday mornings, 6 a.m. Eastern Time, weekly. And early for Patreon subscribers on Wednesday, patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming. And we are a new and growing community. Well, not necessarily new anymore since we're almost a year old. But we are definitely a growing community that communicates through Discord, Facebook, Twitter, all of the above. Any of those links can be found in the show notes, so please go ahead and check those out. Same thing with YouTube and Twitch. We live stream on Twitch mostly all the episodes, unless there's anything crazy going on. We are live today, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming. And you can drop us a follow there, and that's always appreciative. And then leaving a review or sharing the show to your friends is the best way to help us grow. So, just telling anybody about it. Tons of reviews already, but as we're getting longer and longer and longer, I feel like that there's more people that are starting to look at the show. So any kind of reviews are always helpful. As sometimes when somebody's looking for a new podcast and they only see like 10 episodes deep, they're like, maybe I'll check it out later. But we get over that year mark, the year plus mark. I think that's when a lot of people are like, okay, these people are this show is around and it's here to stay. So yeah, we're not going anywhere. So. But yeah, we've got a little bit of news. Probably not a lot of playing stuff. I mean, I've got some stuff to talk about, but I know Michael wasn't really playing a lot of stuff. And then we do have a decent amount of questions today. So we are recording a little earlier because of, like Michael mentioned, retail life. I am going into work this evening to do some work at my store. So I'll be working overnight. And that's why we're recording when the sun's out, which is kind of rare for us.
Well, luckily, we're in fall, as we mentioned, so the sun's almost down over here.
Yeah. I think we haven't done one this early in a long time. Like, I think the one I remember the most is like years ago when we had the overseas guest on our old show.
Yeah,
we did it like at 10 o'clock in the morning show.
Yeah, I think one of the 1 weeks that we weren't live for DDG, we did like a morning one. But yeah, this is I have energy still. Not quite nap time, you get that little nap time before 5 or 6 o'clock. I mean, you can't do that today, but
I fell asleep a little bit today because I forced myself to get up at a good time from working overnight last night. So, but all right.
Though full warning. I usually feed the cats in an hour. So they will be getting aggressive.
They're going to be sitting on Michael's head later.
Yes. Yes, you will see some aggressive cats very soon if you're watching on Twitch.
All right, so I saw a little bit of this, and I think you might have it tied in here a little bit, but yeah, you do. So we're going to talk a little bit of Marvel's Avengers.
Oh, where to start? All right, let's start with the good news. September NPDs come out. I don't feel like going through the whole September NPD thing. That's kind of boring. But Avengers was the #1 game on the NPDs last month. It was the highest-selling superhero game just behind Marvel Spider-Man. Makes sense. So, sounds good, right, Dave? Like, that sounds great. It only behind Spider-Man in sales.
For Square Enix?
Yes. For Square Enix. For a video game, knowing how much
on paper,
Spider-Man
on headlines, especially with all like the craziness that's going on with the Marvel movies now, like having a game sitting on your shelf called Marvel's Avengers is going to sell.
Yes, which it did. But here's where things get bad. The game came out, it's kind of glitchy, and it just has it's a live service game that doesn't really have too much going for it in terms of a live service game.
It's a live service game that doesn't have a live service right now.
Yes. And the Steam charts for it, which, takes a look at only Steam, the PC platform, how many peak player counts are, or how many people are playing at any given time. Avengers is struggling. The last 2-3 weeks, it's been anywhere between 600 and 2,000 peak players per day, which is scary. So at one point, at any given time, you can check the peak amount of people playing the game, and Avengers is struggling on PC. Yes, it's on multiple platforms, but something named Marvel's Avengers from Crystal Dynamics, published by Square Enix, only having 600 to 2,000 people playing at any given time is really scary.
On any platform.
On any platform, yeah. Because the PC platform, huge platform. Of course, there could be some people playing on Stadia, probably not. But so the game's struggling. Crystal Dynamics is aware of this, so things are happening. Kate Bishop DLC that's supposed to come out this month, that is delayed. That's not happening. No news on when that's going to happen. Next Gen Avengers, which was supposed to be out this year, shortly after console launches, that has been delayed till 2021. No specific date given, other than next gen versions are delayed. Of course, you can use backwards compatibility to play your PS4 version. It just won't have any of the extra bells and whistles like ray tracing and better textures and stuff.
Compared to some other games that are already talking about next gen upgrades, most games next gen upgrades aren't going to be ready day and date anyways.
Yeah, but they, we're 3 weeks out, from it. So this is one of those things where it's just seems like it's all happening really fast, or them deciding not to do things is happening really fast. Crystal Dynamics put up a blog post on their Avengers website. The statement that everyone's been picking is Marvel's Avengers launch was not without turbulence, and we recognize that a number of issues detracted from your enjoyment of the game. This does not align with Crystal Dynamics' value of craftsmanship, and for that we sincerely apologize. As a make good for the community, they put together a package with all the various in-game currencies that are in there to the players that are currently playing, to kind of say hey, sorry that we can't fulfill our roadmap stuff. But we're working to fix the game. This was the thing leading up to Marvel's Avengers that we were worried about. Can Crystal Dynamics, who's mostly known for single-player games, could they make a live service game? And could Square Enix, even though Final Fantasy XIV, super successful MMO.
BioWare.
Yeah. We were worried about this. Could they do it? And it looks like they can't, and they're going to have to, pull back and look at it. Dave, what are your thoughts? Because you are a live service guy by default.
Well, it's everything though. It's the stuff that we were even talking about before, where me being a live service looter guy, I enjoy live service games. I enjoy looters tremendously. The lack of cosmetic looking loot in the game was always a concern that I talked about. It's how can you get a better thing? How can you make Hulk look different? He's Hulk. You can't you turn. It's why certain games the Division are successful, and Division 2 are relatively successful, or Destiny, or even if you want to classify Fortnite and Rainbow Six Siege, these are things that these companies build and mold from the ground up to how they want them to do. Destiny can make a Guardian look anything they want because it's theirs. Mm-hmm. Using a license, whomever the license is, in this instance Marvel, they could, but I don't think it would go over well, but they can't make a pink suit for Captain America. Or a different helmet. Captain America can't wear a different helmet or have a different shield. That makes him not Captain America.
And I think that was the thing that was bothering me when I played it in the beta. It's they have alternate costumes, and they're all from the comics, but the loot that you get you put on your character and it just vanishes. Like
Right.
it's not actually, it's just numbers going up for no reason. And I think that's shows you that they didn't know exactly what they wanted to do, or they didn't know how to do it, and still honor like the Marvel brand.
Right. Because like Captain America has alternate suits, but you can't put, and I don't know the names of this, but you can't put MCU pants on with a comic book chess piece. Like,
which would have been a nice thing to do, of just like
but
mix and match a little custom.
I don't think that would go ever well with the community or hardcore Marvel fans of like it's one whole piece. Like it's a top to bottom costume. Like when and if Spider-Man's in the game, you can't put Miles Morales' shirt on Peter Parker and put Spider-Verse's pants on Peter Parker and let your guy look like that. You could, but I don't know if people would like that. Versus again, like the Division, like they can just make an exotic set of boots that do something cool, or gloves in the game, and they can make them look however they want to make them look because it's Tom Clancy's world. Like they have some restrictions of like of a tactical military style look to it, but at the same time they can just do whatever they want and you can mix things around. And then they have the transmog ability of where you can change things but Avengers doesn't even have that, to where you can mess with this stuff. And for me, like the playing it at the beginning, I own the game, and I played I don't even remember what I played, 6 or 10 hours, and the campaign and the story was good and compelling, but the skill trees, I talked about it before, the skill trees and the loot and the way it was, the progression just felt off. When you're trying to make a campaign that you're introducing new characters as you go through, versus even, I think they could have even been successful if each of these characters had their own independent 3-hour campaign, and you had 4 or 5 characters at launch that you could play. And then after those 3 or 4 hour campaigns, the live service part took over, and then the things started seaming together. Versus now, it's like you start as Kamala Khan, and then you pick up Bruce Banner, and you pick up Iron Man, and then when you all of a sudden you're level 10 or 11, and you're picking up Iron Man, and it's your first time playing with them, and you're getting stuff that was a little bit below, or it's like really high, and you don't really get to progress with them. And then again, at the cause, you can't put a different weapon type in Iron Man's hand. You can't all of a sudden give Hulk a sword. Like that just doesn't work.
Well, and here's the thing, like from what when I talk to people that like finish the campaign, the campaign's good. Like it's better than it should be. I've heard too. Yeah. And after you finish the campaign, then the live service stuff starts, and then there's just nothing there. It's because it's repetitive, and
there's no end game. Like that again. Like there's no. This is again going.
And they literally had a movie with that name that they could take inspiration from.
Post campaign content. Or like this is the problem, and I don't want to keep wrapping everything around and attaching to this, but the pinnacle for success for this right now, whether you believe it or don't believe it, is Destiny as the franchise. And their raids, I know Michael hates their raids, but in terms of
Destiny 1 though, like is like the thing you look at and like, this is how a live service game could work.
Yes. And
this is what you should look at. But we've seen over and over again how many live service games look at Destiny and they're like, we're not going to look at that. And then they continue to make the mistakes that Destiny made themselves.
Yep.
Like Bungie worked hard to get Destiny where it was, but Destiny was not without its faults.
Yeah, but you can't. Destiny, I think with these live service games, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, so Avengers has a great campaign and a terrible live service. Destiny 1 had a terrible campaign and a great live service. Mm-hmm. And then you wrap around to Division. Both Division games had really good campaigns. And, and like that, the way that Division 2 handled world tiers, like that worked really well. But then after you got to the top of the world tier, it kind of got stale. And then they're trying to throw all these different things at it. They're just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what's sticking. And people, and then Destiny continued to produce good end game content until Destiny 2, because they kept hearing people say, well, like, that's too far away from me. I can't get there. And so then you got the catch up mechanic. And then Destiny 2 came out and had a good campaign and no end game.
Yes. It's just, this is frustrating because like I feel like based on how Square's handled their Western developed games, Square just doesn't know what to do. They know Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
And they know Kingdom Hearts, and they stumble there too, but those are their things. Their Japanese developed stuff is good, but when it comes to them trying to do Western market appeal, they just can't. And I feel like we would be having... Avengers would probably be a Game of the Year contender if it was just a single-player story that was it. Because a single-player story is good, but Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, they had to then work on this live service game, which then most likely took resources away from the single-player game, and they could have probably made the single-player game more fleshed out and really fine-tuned that to be a even better experience, and we would be having a completely different discussion about this game. We would probably be talking about this game.
Because you could have had a really cool Miss Marvel story.
Yeah. That leads into, and then could have turned into a whole universe for Square Enix to play with of all the characters that they have in this game. And, you know, they probably would have worked on individual licenses, but there could have been potential for this to really blossom. Instead, they're like, let's do a live service game. Let's see if we can get that microtransaction money. And this is what we have. And now Crystal Dynamics is going to have to rework this game to try and get it to work. And their roadmap has basically been delayed, because I'm assuming if Kate Bishop's delayed, then the other characters behind Kate Bishop, they're also delayed. The Spider-Man DLC has to be delayed.
Well, and the problem that they're running into, I guarantee the problem that they're running into is they're looking at feedback, they're looking at how people are playing, and then the Kate Bishop DLC is more of what we already had.
Yeah, it's just, here's
like,
Kate Bishop.
Okay, we can't do that. You know, like they're like, obviously we can't do that, so they're retooling it or changing some things, similar to how Division's done it, similar to how Destiny's done it, similar to how Anthem has attempted to do it, similar to how Rainbow Six Siege has done it and been successful with it, similar to how Ubisoft has been successful with For Honor, continuing that game, and they've grabbed onto with For Honor's example, they've latched onto the people that are continuing to play the game and looking at what they're doing and building on what they're doing, not trying to do what they want to do. They're looking at the community, and that's how these games can grow. And Avengers isn't dead. It's not. It by any means. It's not dead. This can be fixed, and you know, and this can be something that sticks around for a long time. They just have to figure out a way to make it compelling enough to the average person that finishes the campaign when the Kate Bishop stuff shows up, saying, "I want to play."
Yeah. You're right. Avengers, this game won't go away. Contractual obligation, it won't go away, and also because there's still money to be made here if they can right the ship. Because we've seen, we reference Destiny for like how to do a live service game, and then we reference Rainbow Six for how to save a game.
Yep. And Division.
And Division 1. Division 1,
yeah. Division 2, I think they've given up.
Yeah, Division 2 and then Breakpoint. So, you know, there's blueprints on how to save a game like this and turn it into something good. And because it's Marvel's Avengers,
right,
there's value in it to, if they do fix it, it can then turn into something that lives forever.
And the potential is there too. Like you said, the campaign is good. The dialogue between the characters is good. Adding more characters to it and bringing and telling the story of lesser known characters, or not even lesser known characters, but just the opportunity to find out more about the characters that you've seen. Like because I'm terrible at this. The girl in Avengers, all the Avengers, Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow. I am super fascinated in her story because of all the little things that we've seen her do in all these Marvel movies. I want to know how, like, what, you know, how did this become, you know, because she's like an Avenger without any like ridiculous godlike abilities. You know, so finding out about her is fascinating to me, you know, and then, you know, like the whether you like the movie or didn't like the movie, finding out how, you know, Captain Marvel became Captain Marvel, like that stuff is really cool. And, you know, they can still do that in video games. And she's not a new character, but I didn't know who Miss Marvel Kamala Khan was until this game came out, really. I don't pay enough attention to the comics.
The thing that's cool, though, is because they picked Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel is one of the leaders of Young Avengers in some of the things. And you can introduce a whole Miss America, who I think they just cast in one of the movies. Like you have Wiccan, who's like Vision and Wanda's kid. There's so many cool. There's young Hulkling. There's like young Loki. There's so many. Yeah,
I mean, we started seeing it in the movies with the Captain America transition, or what appears to be the Captain America transition. Like they can tie these movies into it. I mean, we've seen video games, like we've seen WB give Rocksteady the ability to make a new villain in the Batman world.
Yeah.
And it's been relatively successful from what I've seen. We've seen, you know, whether the company, the publisher as Telltale as a company, but The Walking Dead, like building a whole new character world within the atmosphere. Like this can work.
Yeah.
It just has to be done better.
I would almost want them to, I know they're not going to give up on the live service stuff because, you know, they see money in there, but if they can transition to this, because chances are Square, like EA, when EA made the deal with Disney for Star Wars, Square probably made a multi-year, multi-game deal with Disney for Marvel's Avengers, and I wonder if they'd be willing to give up on...
I think they signed this deal before Disney bought Marvel.
No, they wouldn't have. They bought Marvel way too...
Because I remember hearing about this a long time ago, but I mean...
No, because like Square.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're probably right. I mean, I relate a lot of stuff to when I remember reading about stories based on which stores I worked at the time, and I feel like this was like 3 years ago that we heard about this Avengers project, 3.5 years ago, and I don't really feel like that in my mind. Like Disney bought Marvel.
They did because the MCU just passed its 10-year anniversary. So
with Marvel, I mean with Disney.
Marvel, yeah, it would have been like 8 years.
Wow.
Because like the Iron Man movies were made before that.
I don't know how to tell time then.
Yeah. So, but here, this is the thing that worries me is like there was rumors that were like pretty much confirmed by a lot of different sources that there's a Guardians game being made by Square somewhere. You know, like what does that look like? Does that just get canned or delayed? If that was also going to be some,
or does that get shoved into this game now?
Yeah, or was there going to be a teaser for the Guardians in this game eventually that they're like, well, shit, we can't do a Guardians live service game.
But again, they can fix this. Like I'm telling you right now, they can fix this. Make your base game $20 for Black Friday. Get your DLC or your expansions or your additional content, free stuff that you're going to use. Like get it right. Get the people in there buying the game and get it right, and you'll be fine.
That's kind of what I'm waiting for because I want to play the single player game.
Yeah.
Campaign. I'm waiting for this to be a sale, and because the box says Marvel's Avengers and it has all the heroes people know on it, it's going to sell the holidays. We don't know what the holidays are going to look like yet, but it's still going to sell because people got to buy something.
It's the same thing we've been talking about, though. You can have anybody go into the store and buy PS5, Xbox Series S or X, whatever they're going to buy, and they're looking to get it, as a Christmas gift, and they're looking at the games that are available, and this is going to work on this thing, and it's a Marvel game. Like, okay.
There's going to be someone that's at a store, and they're going to see Spider-Man and Avengers sitting next to each other, and they're going to be like, well, that only has one superhero, and that has 5 of them, and they're going to pick up Avengers, So the game's going to sell despite itself, and Square's going to have to, like, actually do something to turn this around, and maybe they can save it, and maybe they can't, but they probably have a big deal. I mean, shit, no one talks about it, but EA eventually saved Battlefront.
Yeah, they did.
So Battlefront is still like
2 is pretty good.
Yeah, so like they have done some stuff. But let's move on to the next story. Let's get into some next gen shit because we're getting so close. By
the way, this is, before you talk about this story, this falls under duh.
I know, but it's been so weird how this has been going down.
I'm prefacing it before you finish your sentence and get my initial reaction, because my reaction to this is duh.
Yeah. So there's been a ton of mixed messages on if Microsoft will publish Bethesda games on other platforms, aka PlayStation and Switch. Phil Spencer came out with an interview with Kotaku last week, and he said, when asked if Microsoft can recoup the purchase of Bethesda by being exclusive. So can they make back the $7.5 billion by turning all Bethesda games into exclusive games? And Phil Spencer said, yes. This deal was not done to take games away from another player base like that. Nowhere in the documentation that we put together was, how do we keep other players from playing these games? We want more people to be able to play the games, not fewer people to be able to play games. But I'll say in the motto, I'm just answering directly the question that you had. But I think about where people are going, or where people are going to be playing, and the number of devices that we had and we have. xCloud, PC, and Game Pass for our console base. I don't have to ship those games on any other platform other than the platforms that we support in order to make the deal work for us, whatever that means. So he almost sounded a little snarky in this, of just like, they can make the money back without releasing the games on PlayStation, because I feel people are a little weird with that, where they're like, no, they have to put it on PlayStation to make the money back, and that's not the game they're playing, and they don't. Not true. So. And it's Microsoft; they don't need to make the money back. Right. This is a company that could take a $1 billion bath, and be fine, like still walk away unscathed. They do it all the time. Their phone service, they ate probably more than a Bethesda deal for their Windows Phone shit. Like,
so let me ask you a question. Did the Uncharted series suffer because it wasn't on PC or Xbox?
No.
Did Last of Us suffer because it wasn't on PC or Xbox?
No.
Okay. Did Halo suffer because it wasn't on PlayStation?
Yeah, but you are talking about games that were exclusive from the start. I think people are worried.
Did Destiny suffer from a 1-year contract with Sony for exclusivity?
No, but that content did suck.
I agree, but did it suffer?
No, it didn't suffer at all.
So what I'm saying is that now, when people are mad that Spider-Man's exclusive, to PS4 or PlayStation for Marvel's Avengers, like we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But everybody's like, but Sony owns them. Sony owns Spider-Man. So now, I think that we will get better. I think Bethesda as a studio will get better with the help of Microsoft.
You would hope that they would get better.
And then thus, allowing them to produce, hopefully, more continuous games. Because, we hear about Starfield and, the issues that Fallout had and Fallout 76 had. And the concern of, like, these games sometimes, as from like you had mentioned, like Microsoft can absorb some financial loss for a little bit for the potential of a return on investment, where maybe Bethesda as a company had to get 76 out that year because they needed a heavy hitter for their revenue to pay their bills for that year.
Sure.
So those are real life things. This is why they sold. This is why they let themselves get purchased, because that was financial security for the company. And just basic math, and I know I talked about this before, and even if we lower the numbers, because everybody's like, well, there's, like there was with this sale and this promotion, today we know right now there's at least 15 million subscribers to Game Pass right now. It's probably higher than that, but this is 15 million since the last time they said it. And even if you take that number and make it $10 a month, which would offset everybody that gets it for $1 or $3 or $4 versus the same amount of people that got Ultimate for 15 or 17 or whatever it is. So cut right in the middle at $9 or $10 per month. Microsoft is making $150 million from Game Pass without the next generation of consoles existing.
Yeah.
With xCloud still being in beta. This number is only going to grow. So somebody can sit there and say X game has a $100 million budget or a $500 million budget, or they paid Destiny X amount of millions of dollars to be on Game Pass for however long it's going to be, and say, oh, they're just hemorrhaging money when they're making $150 million a month. They could pay for the Bethesda purchase. They won't do this, but they could pay for the Bethesda purchase in less than 3 years just from Game Pass subscriptions. Never selling one of their Bethesda games at $70 on any platform if they choose. Never selling any new generation console or old generation console. Just the profits or just the money that's made from Game Pass.
Yeah, but you also have to count. Well, 3 years is like looking at it like basic.
If they just took the money from Game Pass, yes, I know
you're not counting licensing and all that stuff. Yeah.
But I'm just like, for them to sit there, and why does it make financial sense for them to go to Destiny and say, hey, we want Beyond Light on Game Pass, and here's what I would assume that Bungie goes, our projections are we're going to sell this many copies on Xbox. What do you have to do to compensate for that? And they either have to hit the number or go higher. And whatever that number is, like, we'll probably never find out. But I promise you, if Elder Scrolls or Starfield is exclusive to Xbox on PC and on on PC and on console, this franchise will move consoles. It will. Like,
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, I hate when games are exclusive to things, but that's just the beast. That's just how this business works. There will be exclusives. Most of the people that because it seems weird that like you see this where like the Sony fans that are hurt by Bethesda being purchased by Microsoft are upset, and they assume that they have to have the Bethesda games on PlayStation franchises for them to survive. But at the same time, you don't see those same people saying like, oh, Deathloop, that shouldn't be exclusive to us. That shouldn't be exclusive to PlayStation because it's hurting the Xbox fans. Or, like the Kingdom Hearts series for so long was exclusive, and the Spider-Man game is exclusive. You don't see those fans being like, no, we don't want this to be exclusive to this platform. We want the Xbox people to play it too. So, like, the only people that are... Go on.
Go ahead. Purchasing an exclusive now looks bad. Like, if you go to Bungie or to... to Epic or to Ubisoft and purchase an exclusivity thing now, that looks bad. So the way that they've gone around it is they're like, fuck it, I'll just purchase the studio.
Yeah. And,
Sony did it too. Sony bought Insomniac. And why did Sony buy Insomniac? Because they wanted them to make games for them exclusively and not for anybody else. And they were worried about Facebook or somebody buying them for their VR tech. So instead of sitting there saying, we want to make IP contracts with you, they just bought the whole thing. Yeah, and Microsoft has a bigger bank account. And, they just bought a whole ass publisher,
So we're in an arms race, and Microsoft does have like the unfair advantage in terms of money and a company that's probably willing to take a loss forever how long it takes because they're playing a long game with Game Pass.
Their purchasing of Bethesda is going to be a loss, though.
No, I'm not. But I'm saying in terms
it's an
of
initial
like
hard investment at the start.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't work out, it's not going to hurt Microsoft in the long run. But it's going to work out. I'm not saying it's not going to work out, but in terms of Microsoft, of just like, oh, how much would it cost? $7.5 billion? Fuck it, let's just try it. Because we want Game Pass in every home.
The other thing, though, too, is like, it's not really talked about on here at all, but I fully expect Elder Scrolls or Star Citizen or Fallout or the next Doom. You're not going to be able to buy it on Steam either. You're going to have to buy it on the Xbox PC store. They're going to, that you are like
no, but they've been opening up. They actually put Halo on Steam recently. They're going to put it on Steam, but it's going to have this is probably when they're going to probably piss Steam off and put like, hey, you get exclusive content if you get it on Game Pass on PC.
But they're going to want you to go to their storefront, and before you buy it, they're going to say, hey, do you know before you spend $70 on this that you can spend $14 a month and get all of this, including this game? That's gonna happen. Game Pass isn't going anywhere, and I just don't see anybody that can, and the majority of people going to a store and buying a game for $70 that will always be on Game Pass for $10 to $15 a month.
You'll have people that, well, because you'll
sense.
Those are probably going to be the same people that are physical media people where they want to own it, but you don't really own the game on Steam anyways. You don't own digital games to begin with. So you'll definitely get people like that who will be in it, but that's a small group.
And it might be like if you only play Elder Scrolls, like the people that only play WoW, like that's their only game. Like you're the minority. Like you're fine. They're banking on your $70. They're going to get your $70. But that person that's on the fence about it.
Yeah. Hell, that's how we played Bleeding Edge and all the other Microsoft exclusive games.
How upset would you be if you spent $60 on Bleeding Edge?
I would be very upset. I would have been bothered. Shit, I would have been bothered. Like, I wish Avengers was on one of these services because I would have been upset if I spent $60 on Avengers.
But everybody's like, well, stuff goes away and comes back, goes off of Game Pass. Not Xbox exclusive studios.
Those are going to stay on. Yeah. Shit, they just added a bunch of Double Fine games to Game Pass, and I don't expect those to disappear anytime soon.
Doom just got added. The newest Doom Eternal, I think.
Mm-hmm. So this is just how it's going to be. Like, it would be crazy. Like, as much as I would love Microsoft to put the Bethesda game store on PlayStation, which there's still a possibility they might do it just to maybe entice people to like come over to Game Pass.
I think there's a higher chance that you see Game Pass somehow purchasable on PlayStation than you see a Bethesda game on PlayStation.
No, I don't see that. being a thing possible, but I think there's a small chance that you'll see a Xbox Game Studio Game Pass logo before you load up a Bethesda game on PlayStation. Then those games come into that platform. Like, I think there's a chance that you'll see those games come over, but it's a very small chance because Microsoft's going to want to make the money and they want to get the Game Pass money as fast as they can get it. And the best way to do that is to be like Starfield, PlayStation or Xbox exclusive, Game Pass exclusive.
If Sony purchases Ubisoft next week, would you expect the newest Assassin's Creed to be on Xbox?
Yes, and that's where I was talking about earlier with fanboys who would like get angry about it. If Sony bought Assassin's Creed, Sony would not hesitate to make Assassin's Creed exclusive. They wouldn't. So I don't know why people expect Microsoft to be the nice guy.
Yeah.
In this scenario.
It's not like Sony produced and grew these studios. They purchased all these studios. They purchased Naughty Dog. They purchased Sucker Punch. Like they were making games and they had deals with them and they went and they bought them. Like I just don't, just because they did it one at a time versus buying a huge studio. Like if Sony bought Activision or if Sony bought EA, like would you expect Madden to be on Xbox next year?
Well, bad example because sports games have weird licenses, but yeah, like, but I wouldn't expect Mirror's Edge to be on Xbox or whatever, like, or Battlefield.
Overwatch.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect.
They purchased Activision, like
yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like if one does it, it's okay, but if the other one does it, it's bad. Like we had this problem with the 360 era with all the Xbox exclusives, and then it switched over to during the PS4 era with all the PlayStation exclusives.
Yeah. I think the thing is, this is the first time like the underdog has made it. Microsoft's not like underdog in terms of like sales. PS4 sold over 100 million, and Xbox is somewhere between like 40 and 60 million. So you have 100 million people versus 40 million people. So of course, when those 100 million people lose potentially a ton of franchises, they're going to freak out. But it just wouldn't make business sense for Microsoft.
It just comes down to where you want your money to come from. Do you want to sell 100 million $400 boxes, or do you want to get somebody for 2-3 years giving you $15 a month?
Yeah. Of that 100 million,
wherever they play.
Yeah. And
like you can buy Game Pass if you have an Android phone. You don't have to own a PC or a console.
And you can still use your PlayStation controller.
I'm not saying the experience is going to be a fantastic experience, but it's possible. I've been playing xCloud on my Chromebook and on my Android phone, and for most of the games that I'm playing on there, some of them it works fine. So it's I respect Sony's like, you want to play Spider-Man? Buy this box. But now it's going to be, you want to play Elder Scrolls 6?
Yeah.
Buy Xbox Game Pass.
I'm trying to see, like, just Fallout 4, for example, how many that sold. Hold on, just give me a couple.
Yeah, because
minutes.
we had Fallout 4, you had Fallout 76, you got Skyrim. Like, these are games that people put a significant amount of time into. Along with the Star Citizen, which is their new thing, and the Elder Scrolls, like was even all like this is like the stuff that people aren't for the Elder Scrolls card game. These are all things that Microsoft now owns. That are carry. Is Gwent made by Bethesda?
No, that's CD Projekt Red.
Okay, but there is an Elder Scrolls card game, right?
Yeah. There's a bunch of different Elder Scrolls stuff on mobile that now Microsoft controls and can kill.
Owned by Microsoft now. Yeah. And I don't think that they're gonna kill it. So it's just it's fascinating, and people are like this is Phil Spencer, like who knows what the Xbox One launch would have been like if Phil Spencer was leading it.
Yeah, it would be different. These purchases might have happened way back then, and people would have been less angry because some of these franchises wouldn't exist anymore.
What they're building now and what they're doing, they've kind of just repackaged it. But this is the DRM that they were trying to do when Xbox One launched.
Yeah.
Game Pass, you got to be connected. Like,
yeah, they got to verify you somehow, or you have to check in every once in a while.
They were just too early. Sony took advantage of Microsoft trying to do something too new too soon.
Yeah, so I looked up, like, I can't find official numbers for Fallout 4. The only thing I could see is that they sold 12 million units to retail. Yeah. Which we would assume by now they sold through. So of those 12 million people, even if it's a 50-50 split, like 6 million to Xbox, 6 million to PlayStation. I know PC's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure Microsoft, when they look at the numbers of just like, okay, so we can sell 6 million units at $60. But what if we can peel 2 million of those units into Game Pass? Like, that probably makes up for whatever the 4 million difference would be. Getting 2 million of those PlayStation people onto their platform, either a phone, a computer, or an Xbox, paying monthly subscriptions that most of them will probably forget they even have it, or they will jump in and be like, well, let me try this game. And they're probably just one live service a game away from just permanently including Game Pass
I know we talked about it, but I don't remember. Was Uncharted 1 made when Sony owned Naughty Dog?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
It's Sucker Punch that you were confused with. Sucker Punch wasn't bought until the second one.
Yeah, okay.
I believe.
So, like, again, these companies prove that they can produce quality content. Jack and Dexter was not... I don't think they owned them when they made Jack. I think, so they prove that they can make good games. And we've heard that, like, Sony is allowed... when Sony purchased these studios and giving them the time, we've seen all that stuff, whether it's Uncharted or Last of Us or God of War or whatever it is, Days Gone, that they've given the studios the time and the freedom that they need to make these games. And to think that Microsoft can't do the same thing to give Bethesda the extra 6 months it needs so that their game isn't a broken piece of crap at launch. Like, like that carries a significant amount of weight with all of a sudden a new Fallout comes out and, somebody's like, hey, it's fun. And it works, and somebody's like, "All right, I'm gonna play it," and all of a sudden they start picking up more stuff. You start hearing more word of mouth stuff. Positivity word of mouth or negative word of mouth carries a significant amount of weight. Fallout 76 is dead because of the negativity around it. Like you can't fix it. Anthem is dead because of the negativity around it. They can't fix it almost unless you do a hard reboot. Like it just can't be fixed anymore. A new game coming out. And people going, hey, this is a lot of fun. They look up a YouTube video, they look up a Twitch stream, and then they find out like, oh, I can only play this, and I'm a console guy. I can only play this on Xbox Series. Oh, the Series S is only $300, and Game Pass is only $15. Okay.
Yeah. Well, here's a scenario that Microsoft can pull, and that will probably pull some hardcore PlayStation Fallout fans. They could say, hey, we own Fallout. And we own Obsidian, the creators of Fallout, who haven't made a Fallout game since New Vegas. We're going to have them make a new Fallout game. You're going to pull some of the hardcore PlayStation Fallout fans to that platform because that is an option.
It's the exact same thing that Sony did with Kojima. The exact same thing, but they just didn't buy his studio yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's going to be one of those ones where, like, if you see Konami get purchased or their IP library gets purchased by Sony, expect them to make that deal for Kojima. Which would probably be...
Or you hear that Kojima Studio is closing, and then the next week Sony announces that Kojima's the head of Konami.
Yeah. So all that stuff can happen. All right, let's move on, because we've talked about this a while. So, Dave, another week went by, and we have more PlayStation stuff. The UI or UX, I'm not used to people calling it a UX, user interface, was shown in a state of play video. Some of the things that I bullet pointed just so we can talk about it briefly, because it's one of those things you just have to like look at it and see it. The UI, it's going to be in 4K HDR. I feel like the design is... I know, it's just a menu. The design overall seems very similar to the PS4, just prettier. Like a little bit... like they adjusted some things, but like that tile thing is still there, but it's... You can tell it's made for a big TV.
Yeah, their new cleaner XMB, which is all the PS4 UI was a better version of the XMB. Yeah,
you have like the XMB icons just at the bottom, and then you have a tiles thing. The best thing I can say about that is I do like it. It looks cleaner. It is definitely made for a large TV, because like those video game icons are very small, which probably look better on a big TV. Curious to see how it looks on like my monitor, which is not a 16-inch TV. So they have that stuff. I will say I do like that they separated video games and media. Like there's a separate tab thing there to clean up the UI.
Kind of did on PS4 now. Like you have to go into a media folder anyways.
Yeah, but it takes up like a tile in the game folder.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I put all those apps in like one thing anyways. So I like that. They added a control center, so this is like a quick dashboard for in-game use. This is very similar to what you would kind of see on your phone. Like there's a bunch of activity cards. The activities show things that you can do in-game with like percentages and like time to complete. And it can also quickly jump you to in-game moments. This is the thing I think we're going to talk about the most.
Yeah.
Here.
So my first question to you is Watch Dogs Legion going to support this?
So I think like with a lot of Sony special features, this will be supported at launch, and then we'll see it slowly die.
Except for first party.
Because not only you have the activity, so the activities I think are going to be really easy. I think developers can support the activities for quite a long time, and it probably wouldn't take too much work because it's just tracking that stuff anyways. It's just putting that stuff user forward. It's the guides. So in the control center and like you can look up basically like game guides where there'll be videos for how to achieve like certain trophies or certain in-game activities that will basically take you to a clip of the game and that you can pin to it, which is really nice to see the pinning video stuff. Xbox has had that for a while, like the video pinning. But this is specifically like game guides.
This is also tied to trophies.
Yes, yeah. So it's a way that you can achieve trophies.
Which is something that people have been asking for years. Like, if I'm supposed to get 50 headshots in a game, can you tell me when I have 40?
Yeah.
Like,
and
you know,
that aspect of it, I think will probably be supported forever because it's just an easy thing for developers to do because they're already tracking that stuff.
I don't, because I think it's going to be supported in the game menus.
No,
maybe that will transition to that, but a lot of these games already keep track of these stats in their games themselves, and then the trophy pops when you complete the activity.
Yeah. The thing that I don't think will be supported very long are the guides, like the ability to pull up video clips of...
Unless the only way that's going to work long term is if the YouTuber or the content creator can link to the game to where like they almost... But then the only thing that sucks about that is that somebody has to police that content because like the last thing you would want is a kid clicking on how to find Sackboy's special hat and it leads you down a video that you don't want.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Because they have an algorithm or a link that says, hey,
this is helpful.
Trophy number 14 in, Sackboy Adventure, like there's a link that, that they can attach it to where it pings.
It's how people abuse the YouTube Kids thing. Where they put stuff in their YouTube videos that will get flagged by YouTube Kids, so then they can get children to watch their garbage. So I feel like Sony for first parties would probably hire like a small staff that will do all the guides for the first party games. So those video clips will come directly from Sony. And this is the thing, I don't see third party developers. I don't see the benefit for them to do this and support the guide thing. Because that's just extra work, it's like, okay,
or Sony reaches into an agreement with like GameSpot or IGN, and their wiki people, they're taught how to link it to there, and that would be an expensive get for Sony for something that I don't think that you're going to change the player's behavior. Because I know for me, like if I'm stuck on something, I don't in my mind think, let me see if I can go into the store menu or the PlayStation menu and figure out how to do this. I just pick up my phone.
Yeah. So it's funny. I know a lot of people in the industry that make their living off like writing game guides and doing freelance work. And they were like all adding Sony like, hey, if you need someone to help you with these videos. But yes, financially, I don't think it would make sense for Sony to do that for every game. There's 4,000 PS4 games. They're not going to be able to staff
I don't think it's going to work with PS4 at all.
No. I'm saying like in terms of like how much staff you would need for the potential PS5 library. If the PS4 ended with 4,000 games, you would need a shit ton of staff to cover all the future PS5 games.
Right.
But
I think it's more logical for them to sign some type of exclusivity contract with a game journalist company.
But here's the thing. Even IGN doesn't do a guide for every single game.
Right.
So like they would run into a thing. So they're going to rely on the developers to do it, which I feel like we'll see support with this scattered all over the place, either not supported. I mean, shit. On the PS4, Sony was like, developers need to put notes for their patches. And I swear to God, it doesn't happen outside of Sony. Sony's the only one that really supports that. Everyone else either links to a website or just says bug fixes. Right. So the guide
which also happens in the app stores.
Yeah. So, like, the guide thing is cool, but I just don't see it being supported long-term by third parties, and I don't think Sony would want to put the financial effort into making it, giving people incentive to do it.
That's valid. So I think it's a cool, shiny thing, and I'll talk about it, the cool, shiny thing, and when we get to what we're playing and watching of something I forgot that PS4 did over the life cycle.
Yeah. And then, so screenshots. I was going to say about the guide thing. The only thing I can think of, so right now on a PlayStation, when you get a trophy, it takes a screenshot automatically unless you turn that off.
Right.
What if you hit a trophy and then PlayStation just during their QA testing, because they have to QA everything to make sure it works, they just take the last 20 seconds of that trophy and that becomes the default guide video?
That would have to be buried in their terms of service for you to publish my video of me earning a trophy.
No, not you, but like when they're doing the QA to make sure the game works and everything like that, if they just built that into the dev kit or whatever.
Again, I think that'd be a first party thing.
Yeah. But if they build it into the dev kit of just like, hey, every time the trophy's unlocked, it takes a 30-second clip and then it funnels it through our service thing, and that's a way to circumvent that.
I guess my question to you would be, if somebody's QAing a game, does that mean they have to platinum the game?
I don't know how exactly it works, but I'm assuming someone needs to test the game.
They have to make sure the trophy pops, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Either the developer or the QA team. One of those two groups is making sure everything works.
Although you and I have both seen how sometimes developers force the game to do something in preview builds that we're playing.
Yeah. I just wonder, like, whose side that would be put on.
Right.
Would it be put on Sony's QA team, or would it be on the developers? And here's the first cat. Another thing, I actually thought this was kind of cool. So screenshots, developers can mark if they are spoilers. So you can't just send a screenshot to someone and potentially ruin the game for them. This works with videos too. So there's some sort of policing going on with the videos.
Again, I think that'll be something that will last for a certain amount of time, and then developers will look at it and be like, well, we only had like 6.2% of the users look at these images. Is this worth our time?
But there are a lot of developers that will block just cutscenes from being streamed. Yep. So there will be developers, third party, that will support that heavily. Parties, they said they're going to go into it more, but they said parties are going to be more than just voice chat. It almost sounded like they're trying for like a Discord thing of how parties will work. It'll be like a group party thing. We'll hear more about that, but I know, Dave, you were hoping that there'd just be flat out Discord integration. Looks like they're just going to try and mimic some sort of Discord thing. Which I'm now at the point where all my friends I play video games with, we're in our own Discord server, and we just use that for everything.
Yeah, but it's just how nice would it be for it to be in the game, though, so you don't have to have like one set of headphones plugged into your phone and still trying to hear the game. You know, like that's it, or being able to independently control people's volumes in the party like you can in Discord. Like I just think that you just need to embrace and let them, like, I don't think that Discord as a company would not want to be on PS5. So like, it's just, I don't see how Discord is the top tier thing. I mean, we heard back in the PS3 days, like people were on Skype.
PS3, I was a Skype user, like religiously.
So it's like at this point in time, like if you have that much of your user base that's doing it, like just integrate it. Especially with cross-platform play being such a big deal, like this is the company that let them deal with the problems. Like they're already, like Sony's already having all that crap this week about, oh, you record my party chat. Oh no, we don't. Oh yes, you do. Like you can, and I'm like, make Discord deal with it. Like I don't want to do it. Like just
One thing I'm curious about is they said that you would be able to like record someone that said something bad to you, and then send it to them. I'm not in parties with strangers that I worry about that. So does that mean that they're recording just in-game voice chat? And how would that exactly work? Unless they're just pulling in-game voice chat and then just making it part of like the system chat.
At this point in time in the world, if you think that they can't go back and get your info from your party from PS4, like from the party chat you had with somebody like 3 months ago or anything like that, like I think you're naive.
No. Like I know they can, but I'm wondering if that's what they mean of just like they built something in the system to where you can pull that and be like, this guy said something horrible to me. Instead of you, because currently what you do is someone says some shit to you in Destiny chat, you report it, and then Bungie can go back and listen to that audio. But you aren't pulling the clip for them. Bungie then has to do the work or take your word for it. So I'm wondering if there's like some system level chat system that the games are using that's outside of party chat for them to actually do this policing thing. Because if it's just, you're recording people that say something bad to you in a party chat, what's the point of that? Like, I don't talk with people in party chats that I don't know.
Well,
so.
I think the problem initially was, and I think the real reason why the PS4 firmware update party system is working like it is right now that people hate is because there was this setting where you couldn't allow people to message you that weren't friends.
Yeah.
And then but if you're in a party, if you and I are in a party chat and it's an open party chat, anybody on your friends list can join the party, whether I'm friends with them or not. Anybody on my friends list can join the party, whether I'm friends with them or not. Now, you almost have to start like a message thread in order to then take that message thread and make that a party.
Yeah.
So I think that it's one of these things of like where we're, because it sucks. It's annoying. Somebody sees their buddy in a party and they want to play a game with them, even though they're already playing a game with like me, and they come in there and the stuff that we've always talked about, they're like blaring music in the background, or their kids screaming in their thing, or they've got iPhone headphones plugged in their controller and you get that static sound. And, like those are all things that maybe this new system could prevent. What sucks about it is like I usually will sign on and I'll be online to play games myself, and I'll just jump in a party solo, and then it's there, and if somebody wants to jump in the party and talk to me, like they can. I don't really have that ability anymore.
Yeah. One thing I hope they do fix is I hate the messaging system in the PS4 right now, where you make a group and then you can't just delete the message. Yeah. Then you have to leave the group before you can delete the message. I hope they fix that, because anytime I get a hate message, it really annoys me, because like someone added you to a group and then I have to fucking like leave the group, and then they feel like they won, as opposed to me just leaving it read and deleted. So overall, I'm happy with the UI. I think it looks good, but I didn't expect it to look bad, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. The stuff they tweaked it made me happy. I'm glad it's not a drastic change from the previous one, because I think the PS4 one has been the best one of all the previous consoles.
Yeah.
So this one looks even better. The only thing I'm worried about is how it's going to look on a smaller monitor or smaller TV. I have a 16-inch TV that it's going to live on, but when I stream, I'm going to put it on a 24-inch monitor, and I'm just wondering how those small icons are going to look, because it's very... It pops. Like the UI they showed, it pops really well, but they also have a lot of small icons, so...
Yeah, so, I mean, it's fine. I love the fact that they showed the UI. I wish they would have shown a little bit more. I wish they would have shown. Yeah, I wish they would have shown like switching games instead of just going back and forth to Sackboy Adventure. I mean, they did show like they showed playing Sackboy Adventure, and then they showed Destruction Derby, but then they didn't go back to
they showed how to take a screenshot in Destruction Derby. It's like, can we see more about that game you're charging $70 for that people thought was going to be free?
I don't even care about that, but I mean, I wanted to see the resume and quick pickup, and like, can you like hop back and forth between games? Because like like everybody knows, like I'll be in and out of Destiny all the time, and I'll be playing Destiny, and I'll again, you're connected to the service, you'll have to load up, but you could be, let's say you're playing a single player game and you're playing Last of Us, and then you want to play a co-op game with your significant other, and then she's only home for like an hour, and then you want to go back to the game you were playing. Like, is that gonna like the loading times with the SSDs are going to be 100 times better, but we've seen, and again, it's just because their competitors doing it, we've seen reports where you can unplug your Xbox and still plug it back in. I saw a video today of the time from cold boot up to playing Gears. It took him 19 seconds to be in the game, playing the game.
Yeah, I want to see that stuff. I actually really want to see a PS4 game running on the PS5, just because I'm buying Cyberpunk on PS4 because that's the only version available, but I'm going to play it on the PS5.
Yep.
I'm buying Valhalla, the PS4 version, but I'm going to play it on a PS5. Like, I want to see all that stuff. I want to see it truly benefit from that. I'm not starting Ghost of Tsushima until I have a PS5. Just because I'll get the 60 frames and that. But I want to see that stuff running. Hopefully we'll get that this week, because every week now they've been showing something different. But yeah, that's all I had for the news, though, Dave. Unless there's anything else you wanted to add.
No, I mean, I think that pretty much covered everything. I mean, I love that we saw the UI, but at the same time, it's just time to show some other stuff.
Show me games.
All right, so we're gonna get into what we're playing and watching. So for me, I've been playing a little bit more of Ori and the Blind Forest. I'm enjoying it. It's a nice break from everything else that I've been playing. It's just fun. I really like the Metroidvania side-scrolling thing, which I always saw Ori being played, but I guess I never realized like that's how it works. And that's how the type of game it was. So I am definitely enjoying that. There's, like the mechanics are getting, as you progress through the game, the mechanics are getting a little bit more challenging, which is fine, but to take some brain power. Like there's a new ability that I have now that when I'm walking like up the left side of the screen, the way the game works, I still have to be pushing left or right. So I'm having a hard time with that because I'm pushing to the left, but my character's going up. So, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's like a gravity kind of function it's messing with me a little bit, but it's one of those things that as you play through it, you'll kind of master the mechanic. And then I was on vacation this week, and I didn't play as much as I wanted to. There was some other stuff going on too, but for some reason, my son Owen, my 5-year-old, he was like down a YouTube or Amazon Prime video watching thing like he does, and he started watching videos of people playing Knack.
Okay.
And he was asking me about it, and he's like, "Can we get this game, Dad?" And I'm like, "Oh, I think I have this game." So I'm looking on my phone, and I'm like, "Yeah, I do have." I couldn't remember if I owned Knack physically or digitally, and I owned it digitally, or it was a PS Plus game.
Might have been PS Plus.
Yeah. So, and I forgot Knack had co-op, local co-op, and I also forgot that Knack used the PlayStation speaker, the controller speaker.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like as you picked up relics, and it also had that ability to share items. And my wife was watching Owen play with me a little bit, and then I'd go to work, and Owen would play a little bit more and need Angela's help. And we were talking about it, and Angela was asking me, I'm like, that was a launch PS4 game, and she's like, it still looks really good in terms of like the shading, and it's not. I mean,
it was Mark Cerny. He's probably trying to show off what he could of the.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a fantastic game. It has its problems with like the way that the platforming and stuff. But like, I'm having a blast playing that game with my 5-year-old right now. So like, and he wants to control Knack, so I get to control the little silver dude that can't die. But if Knack dies, then we reset to a checkpoint. So I'm like being punished for his ability to struggle, but he wants to play as the cool character and not the little gimpy character. So
yeah.
I got to play something at a preview event that I can talk about next week. So that took up a huge chunk of my day, during all this stuff. Then I messed around a little bit more. So I don't have it. I meant to bring it downstairs with me. I didn't bring it downstairs with me. So I'll take a picture of it and put it on Twitter and Facebook and stuff in the next day or so. But I got a wireless Bluetooth controller that also works with Android, and I can clip my phone to it. So for Game Pass, like it's worked phenomenally. Like I messed around like 10 minutes with it with Destiny, and it was working really well. The controller itself was working great. This is like a $30 controller through Amazon. I'm sorry, I don't have the name in front of me for it. I should have been a little bit more prepared. But so if you're looking for something like that, it's not too heavy. Like that was always my concern, is like clipping a controller to, or clipping a game to a controller, clipping a phone to a controller. Like would it make it like too top heavy? And it seems to balance it really well. So I was actually like quite impressed with how it felt and how the buttons managed and worked. And this controller can connect to the PS4 as well, in Androids. So it's definitely something that's pretty cool. I'll share some pictures of it today or tomorrow on social media so you guys can see what it is and what it's called. But for the most part, I did watch some random movies. I ended, like today, while I was kind of half awake, I ended up, for some reason, watching I Am Legend, another Will Smith movie. That wasn't very good.
It was okay. Yeah, the book's better.
Yeah. I could definitely
see the alternate ending is good.
I didn't know there's an alternate ending. Okay.
Yeah.
And then watched football over the weekend, was watching some baseball, was really hoping that Houston would win. Like I really wanted Houston to win just in terms of baseball, to get to the World Series, because like to come back from being down 3-0 to win, and to be like, then
they could have faced the Dodgers.
Yeah, to be a team that was like labeled as cheaters, and then they get punished for being a cheater, and then they still go to the World Series, I thought would have been fantastic. But neither here nor there. That didn't happen. So, for the most part, that's it. So,
okay. For me, a little bit more Fall Guys Season 2. Just been kind of dabbling in that. I've seen myself to where like I'm having less and less fun with it. I just kind of think I hit like my wall with that game. So, but I'm still playing it and trying to get some costumes, because the costumes are really good, but I'm at the point where I also feel dumb because I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be playing this game too long. And then I'm like, oh my God, I got to get that costume for this game that I'm probably not going to play much longer after I get this costume. Me and Sarah, I mentioned a couple weeks ago, we were playing Hitman 2. We finished that. I believe we finished that. Hitman 2 is definitely one of those games where we're not paying attention to the cutscenes at all. Like, we want to skip through those as fast as possible because we just want to play a murder simulator puzzle game, basically.
Owen won't watch the story at Knack. Like, he learned how to skip cutscenes. And
It's basically what's going on with Hitman. It's like, just put us in a scenario, tell us who we have to kill, and then let's spend an hour trying to figure out how to do this. And I love the scenarios that they have. We'll probably end up buying the first game because you can buy the first game as DLC maps for the second game. Mm-hmm. So we're probably going to do that just because
isn't one of them getting VR support soon too?
I believe the whole trilogy is getting VR support, or 3. Yeah, so there's going to be VR support for that eventually. So Hitman 2 is really great. I did get to see Sarah finish Assassin's Creed Origins. She has been playing that for the last 3 weeks. That game's long, but I really liked. So it's been
before the expansions.
Yeah, it's just been funny though, just because I've just been watching.
But Valhalla is supposed to not be as
long,
cumbersome.
Yeah, because I know
it's supposed to be
the
a little
next
bit more
game.
linear, more streamlined. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been watching a little bit of that. I saw the ending of it with her as she was playing it, and that was entertaining just because how they wrap that up and tie it into the other games. Really cool. She started Odyssey yesterday, which I kept telling her, I'm like, if you think Origins was long, Odyssey apparently is way longer. So I'll probably, through osmosis, learn about Odyssey as it's being played. I'm trying to get my coworkers and my friends have been trying to do a Among Us play night session. It's just been hard to wrangle 7 or 8 people.
I really want to do that, but I'm not sure who I want to, who I want to do that with. I really want Angela to participate in it, and I think that me, Angela, you, and your partner, Sarah. I didn't know if you wanted her name on there or not. So,
that's fine.
And then a couple handful of other people. I think it'd be a great Friday night or Saturday night thing. But then getting everybody scheduled to link up.
Yeah, that's the current problem I'm having because it's not really fun to play with more than or less than a whole big group.
Because usually 2 people have it anyways. I mean, I know you can do custom settings and stuff, but
yeah, I would want a full lobby.
8 to 10 is the sweet spot, I think.
Yeah, but and you don't want to play with randoms because you'll have to deal with tryhards, and then just you'll get into a group where they're just trolls. So definitely trying to organize that. So that's kind of it for my playing. Because I dabbled a little bit in Tony Hawk, but like I said, that's just my go-to. I have 10-15 minutes, or I don't really feel like playing something, but I want to play something, and I load up Tony Hawk.
There's just not a lot out there right now, man. That's kind of why I'm enjoying Game Pass. I was like, you know what? I haven't played Ori. And whatever. If you want to hear me, keep talking about Game Pass, but it's just something that's always there. And for me, not having as much time with Xbox as I did over the last 10 years, looking through the list of oh, that might be fun, and I really enjoyed playing Ori. And I
you and Owen need to play the Viva Pinata games because you guys would probably like that.
Is that on Game Pass?
Yes, it is. Yeah, okay. It's a 360 franchise.
I have Alan Wake downloaded too. A lot of people have been telling me I need to play that.
Yeah, Alan Wake's really good. Yeah, I need to cancel my Game Pass for PC because I haven't used it in a while, and I'm gonna just re-up. I'm gonna just get Ultimate when I get an Xbox later this year. So I've been meaning to cancel my Game Pass for PC just because it's $10 that I haven't been using the last 2 months. But see, that's how they get you, though. That's where Microsoft's money is people like me who have it and just keep letting it lapse, or keep letting it.
You're just paying for Bethesda. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm helping them out, I guess. So I just got to do that, and I haven't touched my Switch in a really long time. I don't know what. I bought the collection, the Mario 3D collection, and I just haven't wanted to play a Switch game. They had a bunch
of Mario games on sale for Prime Day. On sale. $39.99 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was but then I started, I forgot about, Link's Awakening, and I'm like, that was $40 or $50, I think that was. And I was like, that's kind of like the remake of a Game Boy game. And I do want to get the collection that you have just to have it. Mm-hmm. For Owen to play some of it too. But I got 2 consoles coming out next month. that I gotta buy.
Well, no, and the
and Beyond Light comes out next month too, and that's gonna be like $40 or $50.
Yeah.
And Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed and Cyberpunk and it's like
well,
that's all in the next 30 days.
The worst thing is like I've been, like, I should use this downtime to play Red Dead 2 because I never finished that, or jump into like one of the other games I have. But because I've seen all the like PS5 SSD times and I've seen all of the Xbox Series load times, I'm like, fuck, I'm not gonna play Red Dead.
Yeah, I'm not playing Spider-Man. Like, why?
Yeah, I'm going to wait. Even if I'm playing the PS4 version, I'm hoping the load screens will be better, which I know they will.
Destiny 2 delayed, air quotes, delayed their next-gen upgrades. They announced that their next-gen upgrades won't be available till like December 8th or 10th or something like that. And they confirmed like true 4K on PS5 and Xbox Series X, and then, 1080p on the Series S. And something that's a really big deal that people don't, that if you've never played on PC, then you won't understand, but like they're giving you the field of view slider on console. Mm-hmm. So, that's, that's a great, that's a great, feature. So like, just to be able to have, for people to play it, but it's not coming when the new consoles launch. It's not coming before their new raid launches. But, it's just kind of one of those things that's there. That's, and then like Avengers, like I'm almost like, okay, do I just wait now? Like I wasn't having a blast playing Avengers. Do I wait until it runs a little bit better?
Yeah. Like what's like, right now Sarah's playing like Odyssey, like literally right now, like right next to me. You can't see her on Twitch, but she's playing Odyssey right now. But like she is trying to like get through that because she wants to play Valhalla. Right. And I want to see Valhalla too. So she's going to try and like, get through Odyssey, which she started yesterday, in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, and we're hoping to review Valhalla, and then hopefully if we review Valhalla, you might get a 1 or 2 or 3 day jump on it just to help. But we have no idea. Like that's just me like speculating. With a lot of these games now, with the way that like the live service functionality even works in some of these games, like sometimes they're just better off waiting till launch.
And then I keep forgetting Cyberpunk is like the week after the consoles come out, so like that's gonna be a huge game.
If you review Valhalla, like you got to put your head down if you want to play Cyberpunk on launch. Yeah.
Thank God that we don't put ourselves under too much pressure for that stuff. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that
he doesn't know that I'm going to give him a stop date. No, I'm just kidding.
It's just there's so many things I want to play right now, but because the new consoles are so close, then I'm just going to wait. And then it's like shit, but there's going to be new games on those consoles, and I know I'm going to play Miles Morales as the first thing that comes out because that's the one new game I'm interested in, and then. Like I want to try Destruction Derby, but I just don't want to pay $70 for it.
In a course of 14 days, you'll have the possibility for you of Valhalla, Miles Morales, and Cyberpunk. And then I'm also going to squeeze in Ghost in there because I want to play Ghost of Tsushima before the end of the year, before we do our Game of the Year stuff in December. So it's like I'm going to, and work band PTO. Ugh, it's going to be real tough. But yeah, so that's it for playing. I didn't really watch anything of a significance to mention. All right, we got a couple questions we're going to kind of buzz through really quick. So you can send us questions in the Facebook group, on Twitter, #AskDigitalDays. In the Digital Days sub-server in our Discord, you can post them in there as well. We got one from Andrew Miller in Facebook. What are some of your favorite what are some of your favorite and least favorite game mechanics, i.e. aim assist, loot boxes, characters leveling tree, RNG gear, procedurally generated maps, etc., etc. For me, something I really like, and like I was just talking about with Ori and the Blind Forest, the progression of like learning a new ability and then the game making sure like, okay, we just taught you how to do something new. Now you're going to do it like 50 times. Like I really like that versus we taught you how to do something new and you're not going to use it for another hour and a half. And then in that hour and a half or 2 hours, like, you're going to forget what you had to do, and you're gonna have to look up at it in the screen and see how to do it. So that progression, and the same, I feel the same way like the Zelda system of like you're in the dungeon and you find the hook shot. Now you have to use the hook shot to get through the rest of the dungeon. That core mechanic is really good. Versus I really have a problem with like open world stuff where it, like I get that overwhelming feeling of like where to go. And it bothers me sometimes because then you're second guessing, like you get to like a fork in the road, like, oh, you can go left, right, you can go left or right, and you go left, and you're all in my mind, like I'm thinking about, well, what's on the right? Like what am I not seeing? Am I going to trigger a cutscene like I talked about with Last of Us 2? Am I gonna go through a door that I can't go back now and like then forget a room? Or like when you said you missed that one cutscene between the two characters and you felt really bad about that, but you didn't know it was there.
Yeah. For me, so for a while I didn't like roguelikes, like procedurally generated stuff, which it's mentioned in the question. But I've grown to like roguelike games, just because of the way I play games now, where I kind of like the aspect of just like, all right, you try and you just try to get through this, and if you fail, you just try it again, and that's like the hook of the game, as opposed to like these big games, like games getting bigger and bigger. That stuff is starting to like drive me nuts and a little bit insane, even though I'm so excited for Cyberpunk and Assassin's Creed games.
I don't mind like a linear game being a 20 or 30 hour experience, but when an open world game where you can play it in 20 hours but you miss 10 hours of content, like that bothers me.
Yeah, that's why I like what I hear about Ghost of it being like, like a 30-hour game, and Spider-Man being like a 30-hour game. I like open world games like that. I think the only thing I really hate, which is why I like kind of fell off Bethesda games, is specifically Bethesda Games Software or whatever they're called, GameWorks, is fetch quests. I hate fetch quests. I hate when you're doing missions. You see this a lot in RPGs where it's just like the mission is like, oh, talk to this person, and then you go talk to that person. They're like, oh, go talk. They send you back and forth between things, and it's just like, I hate doing fetch quests, or like the thing where it's just like, kill 30 gnomes or orcs, that type of thing, where it's just like, oh, here's an arbitrary number, just kill them, and then when you're done with that, we'll give you something more, and then it just turns into fucking, kill 35 of these now, or collection stuff overall bothers me when it has no point.
Those don't bother me as long as they have a point, like if they're part of like in an RNG game or a looter, like where you're like getting the chance at loot, like where it's like, okay, if you go earn so many packages or whatever for this to get a chance to get a good roll on a weapon or a piece of armor, like that doesn't bother me. So.
Yeah, like I think I hate loot. I hate loot. I just like focused story stuff where it's just like, I'm just gonna play this once, because I rarely replay games anymore. I used to replay games religiously, but now it's just like, I'm done. I don't care what my character looks like at the end, just give me a focused story.
I tried after I beat Last of Us, I tried to go back and start doing the collectible thing, and I did it for like 45 minutes, and I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore.
We got to Abby's section of the game, and I played like an hour. Sarah basically had her phone out, just be like, okay, behind you is a quarter that you need to find. And I think we got to like 2 hours into Abby's section. I'm just like, I'll get this platinum one day. I put it down. I was like, you know what? I'll go back to this eventually.
To never be picked up again. So.
Yeah, except I'll try it out on a PS5. Probably.
Yeah, for sure. So Justin Duncan on Facebook, do you think that non-pre-order next-gen consoles will be available on launch day? Yes, I do. Phil Spencer said for at least Xbox there will be some in the stores on launch day.
Yeah, there will be for PS5 as well. There has to be. The only thing I can tell you, though, is check with whatever store you're going to go to maybe a couple days before to see how they're going to organize things, because we're in a different time right now with COVID and stuff like that.
We've seen like Walmart's Black Friday ad leak already, and it's like spread out over 2.5 weeks. So like there's definitely there's going to be a lot of things going on that you might not be used to, and just communicating with the staff there, politely asking them like, hey, like, so what are you guys doing, to prevent 100 people in line on November 12th?
Yeah,
and they might tell you like, oh, you have to like turn in a raffle ticket or something, or pre-register,
or you can buy it now and then we'll have it just ready for you when that day happens.
Right.
So yeah, like every store is going to have a certain amount of allotment. Who knows how much that's going to be because of the current times we're in, but every store, this is a weird year. This is a weird time to launch a console. So you just have to double check with whatever your favorite store is to be like, they probably can't tell you how many consoles they have, because when I worked at Target, we were not allowed to tell people how much we had back there. I broke that rule all the time, just because I didn't want to waste anyone's time. Because like, oh, tell them we'll have plenty of stock. And then I look in the stock room and there's 5. And I'm just like, no, I'm not. I already told 5 people we'll have plenty. the 20th person, I'm not going to tell them we have plenty.
Yeah.
So maybe they can even break that rule now, though, because of the current situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, like definitely you might want to check in with your local store just to see like what they're doing.
All right, Chris Volek, is it possible for the masses to get along when it comes to how great both systems will end up being? Probably not.
No. Sadly, we see this with everything, though. It's just tribalism. That we see this with politics. We see this with sports teams. People just like to cling to things, and you can't tell them otherwise.
Dude, you and I have seen it in the year that we've switched to being multi-platform, like the vitriol that we've gotten for just switching to multi-platform and having a different opinion about something that we always had opinions about, but I always felt like we were covering one console, one ecosystem, so we talked about one ecosystem. It wasn't always worth talking about the other one. And now that everything's there, they're like, I can't believe. I go, well, I always thought this way, but it's like,
I just didn't say the X word. I didn't say Xbox or Nintendo as much. Yeah, no, it's definitely weird. We've seen a lot of hate, and we still constantly our primary system still PlayStation, but we still see hate from people that expect us to do that. Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs of how the world is now. It's just you have to pick a team, and then you have to ride or die for that team forever, which I never really understood. I just want people to play the games and enjoy them. Kind of sounds like Chris also agrees with that. He just wants people to like play a box, play the game, have fun.
Yeah, just don't hate on somebody because they do something differently than you do. Listen to them and find out why they do it differently than you. You'll be surprised.
If you associate your personality with a corporate brand, you fucked up. You gotta have more
unless
going
that
for
corporate
yourself.
brand is paying your livelihood. Like my
even then,
yeah. I mean, there's a line with me and my job, but at the same time, I'm very loyal to my job.
And my job can suck a dick. So, no, but like overall, like every time we have like, you see these people who like they turn their whole personality into like this brand.
Vision. Yeah, just get tunnel vision. So,
and they definitely just turn like every time you go into the comment section of either platform holder. Like on Twitter or Facebook, you'll see it, and then you'll click the person's profile, and you see like the only thing they associate their entire life with is this brand that doesn't care about them other than
and I don't condone that. Like I and Michael and I can agree to disagree on this, and this is something that I know for a fact when I say this is like Michael only like pays attention to White Sox baseball. I pay attention to baseball, and I don't really understand how he can only pay attention to what's going on with the White Sox like that. And for me, I have a hard time understanding that because I like baseball. I love
and I do too, but I just don't have time.
but you wouldn't like what are the odds that you're going to turn on the Dodgers Tampa Bay World Series next week? Slim to none. I'll turn on the final game. Usually how I am with most sports things. It's the seventh inning, and the team's up 3-1. Let me see if they celebrate.
They hit a game 7. I'm watching game 7.
Yeah,
but that I'm going to only watch the highest
and
stuff.
But that's the thing too is like at least you'll see that there are people that are like, I don't care what Microsoft's making, they don't get a dime of my money. Oh, you bought Bethesda? Nope, you're Microsoft. Get away from me.
Well, no, the thing that bothers me the most is like it's kind of okay. Like I guess if you do associate with one brand, that's okay. But it's when you then spend your free time attacking others for their choices. It's just like, dude, just stop. It's not going to affect you. You can still play your games.
Yeah. Or just because a game is successful and you don't like it doesn't mean that it's a bad game. Or so Chris Penwell writes in our Facebook group as well, if PlayStation All-Stars was revisited, which it won't be, would you like to see it take on a 3D fighter formula instead? The original PlayStation was synonymous with 3D fighters like Tekken at the time. He said he can imagine it being a weapon-based fighter like Soul Calibur with Ellie using a knife, Kratos using the Leviathan axe, Jin Sakai using a sword. I'm assuming that's a ghost character.
Yes.
Other characters like Nathan Drake and Kat could use fist and kicks with weapons or additional powers. Sackboy could be a projectile target. Yeah. I think that's something that PlayStation doesn't have as a robust enough character lineup to make it work.
Okay. So, all right. So before we recorded, when you needed 10 minutes, I made a list. So I love this idea. So I think PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale was a bad game that disappeared because it was just a bad game, and it just didn't. It was trying too hard to be Smash Brothers. But me and Chris have talked about this on Twitter. But I do love the idea of turning PlayStation All-Stars into a Tekken or Soul Calibur game. So like we have the characters he listed. So then I made a list of characters that you can use. The only problem is a lot of the PlayStation characters are gun dudes, and I feel like that would be a really boring fighting game if it's just a bunch of dudes with guns.
Well, before you go into your list, my first initial problem with it is that a lot of these elite characters are from a very, very violent style of game. Like Kratos is very violent, and Ellie is very violent. Jin is very violent, and I think that's part of the appeal of Smash Brothers is that I can sit Owen in front of it and not worry about it.
Oh yeah, no. So I think if they were to do it, they would have to go in the T or M rated, which means you would drop characters like Sly Cooper or Sackboy. You would
which is a shame.
Yeah, you would have to stop all of the animated characters, but you could do like Nathan Drake would be gun and melee. You would have Joel, who would be gun and melee. You can do Nathan Hale from Resistance, who would be, again, gun, but he can go into Chimera mode, like a Berserk mode. Deacon would be gun and melee. Radic would be gun play, no melee, just gun combat. You have Cole, who would have powers from Infamous. You would have Deslin, who would be from Second Son. He would have powers. You would have Nariko from Heavenly Sword, would be her thing. Gabe Logan from Siphon Filter, he would be gun and melee. Sweet Tooth could be melee and weapons, which would be good. So you can do real mature stuff. Yeah. The Killer from Until Dawn would be melee and traps.
I'm not saying it wouldn't work, but what I'm saying is that, like, in my mind already, with as much like PvP and other things that I'm seeing in games and esports and all that stuff, like that game has balance issues written all over it.
I mean, it's mostly gun and melee people. I mean,
but
Mortal
still
Kombat
balance
works.
Issues though.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat is because it's a hand-to-hand combat game that has.
Well, this I think would be hand-to-hand combat. I think this would be Soul Calibur has like weapons and stuff, so I think this would be like a Soul Calibur.
Right.
More than a Tekken or Mortal Kombat.
I'm not saying it would work. I'm just saying that I don't know what studio is talented enough to let Sony mess with their characters.
I don't know either. But like then also you can then fill in like all the Naughty Dog characters, but it would be again just more people with guns. You could do Abby, Chloe, and Sully. I feel like this would be a better idea than them trying to do a Smash Brothers game again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I get it, but I mean, at the same time, like, Smash Brothers accessibility is to the point where they can put Minecraft Steve in there.
Yeah. But like as soon as he mentioned this idea, I'm like, holy shit, this could work. Would it be successful? Probably not. Would it be worth putting these characters in a game where they're violently killing each other MK style? Probably not the most on-brand thing, but you would lose like the appeal. Because I don't see them doing 3D All-Stars now. And like, can you imagine people throwing a fit if Abby is beating the shit out of Sackboy? Like, the people would lose their shit.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're okay with Link like dunking on Mario.
Yeah, but yeah.
So it's like... Or Mario smacking the hell out of Princess Peach.
yeah, there's problems with that. But I like the idea, Chris. We got to workshop it and then pitch it.
All right. Spotlight for me this week is YouTube. There'll be some stuff on our YouTube channel at the end of this week. When you're listening to the show, it should be pretty close to being on there. So check out the YouTube channel. So that's really all, like youtube.com/digitaldaysgaming. Do you have anything for a spotlight, Michael?
Just vote. If you can vote early, go vote.
Yeah.
That's it. I won't say anything else because then I'll get a little too political. Just vote.
Yeah. I don't care who you vote for, but vote.
No, I think this
at this point in time, it doesn't matter who you just go vote, because there's other stuff that's important other than who's going to win the president. There's stuff that is just as important.
There's local stuff you can find that you probably should vote on.
Yes. But in order to do that, you need to go vote.
Yes.
You need to register and then go vote. So please make sure you do that. So social media is, our main account is at Digital Days Pod. Michael's account is at First MJC. Mine is at Good Dave Hunt. Like I said, we have the Facebook group, the Discord channel. All the links are in the show notes. If any of those links aren't working, if you're trying to do something you can't do and it doesn't work, like reach out to us on Twitter. Reach out to us. Send us an email, podcast@digitaldaysgaming.com. Michael and I both see that email. So if something's is not working for some reason and you don't have a way to get a hold of us, you don't use Twitter and you can't get in through Facebook or whatever, like you can reach out through email that way. That's fine. You can, contact us on Twitter. This, that, and the other. You can also just patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming if you want to support us through there. $1 tip jar, $3 special Discord channel access, $5, like I mentioned earlier, 24-hour early access to the podcast, and $7 is a monthly bonus episode. So those are all ways that you can support us, and there's also a direct PayPal link in there if you choose. And we do have some cool stuff coming up for our 1-year anniversary that we'll be announcing later. So, you got anything else?
No, that is it.
All right. Hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward, and like Michael always tells everybody,
don't be a dick. See ya.